Hey everybody, today I want to talk about art sales and different things that can help you make a living with your artwork. For one thing, a few years ago, I started looking at art sales differently. I started basically looking for opportunities where there's the maximum amount of blank walls. Every no gets you closer to a yes. So prospecting is just one of those things. You're going to get turned down a lot. You're going to have a lot of rejection, and you're going to have to learn how to deal with that. And that's with any sales, no matter what industry you're in. One thing about it though, with art specifically, art is such a personal thing, and artists tend to see their artwork as a piece of themselves, a piece of their soul. A lot of people are very sensitive about that sort of thing. So when somebody tells you no, on whatever level that is, like, hey, your art's not good enough, or it's too expensive, or whatever it is, that rejection really hurts a lot more than, say, if you're just selling some product for a company that you work for that you really have no emotional connection towards that product. Being told no and being rejected is just one of those things you're gonna have to learn how to deal with. But once you get used to that and get desensitized to the rejection, then you can actually start treating it more like a numbers game. Like I said, every no gets you closer to a yes, right? For one thing, counting opportunities where there's the maximum amount of blank walls is what I do now, okay? And what I mean by that is it's really an art sales hack, I guess. It's all about finding new homes, new home buyers. The new home buyer has the maximum amount of blank walls. They also have a budget allocated for decor, typically. It's all about timing. So it's all about finding these people, these new home buyers, new homeowners, right after closing. It's literally like you might want to be going ahead and getting exposure to these prospects in one way or the other if you can open up a dialogue. And then by the time the closing actually happens, then that's time to close the deal, okay? So I'm gonna give you a few tactics that'll help you make this happen. I'll tell you how I make it happen is through referrals. Now, real estate agents, interior designers, closing agents or title agents, loan officers, anyone who's affiliated with the real estate industry is gonna be your best friend here, okay? And everybody likes to make extra money. A little extra money never hurt anyone, right? I have different referral programs for each of these industries essentially, but it's all basically the same thing, okay? I suggest you put together a referral program for yourself for many reasons. Interior designers are gonna be different from the other real estate specific industries. And what I mean by that is, each designer has at least one, possibly more projects going on at the same time. So they're going to place something in these projects. It might as well be your art. One benefit to working with designers specifically though, is they make your artwork look better and vice versa. Your artwork makes their project and designs look better. So it's a really good relationship to build, with designers. And on the back end of that, if they're getting paid a referral fee to place your art in their projects, then they have more incentive to push your product, okay? Over time, you can also work the angle where your price gets increased over time because they have incentive to push your prices up. And really, that goes with any of these individuals. But, typically, a designer might actually deal with the client one-on-one to where you don't even have to deal with the client. But in these other scenarios with realtors, closing agents, loan officers, they're just gonna send you the business and then you're gonna have to facilitate the transaction with the client. Personally, I love dealing with clients. I know a lot of other artists don't like to deal with clients. I suggest you get good at your customer experience and sales in general because that's where the money is. You want to build rapport with any and all of your clients because the easiest customer or the easiest sell is the customer that you already have. So the repeat business, that's something you're going to have to end up putting effort into that relationship with your clients. But also, like I said, building relationships with any of these individuals here will be beneficial for your business. It has been extremely beneficial for my business. I'll go into a little more detail here with realtors specifically, okay? Realtors typically have listings and they're trying to sell the property, right? So if you don't have a large portfolio of like installations and like some really good photos of installs, you're gonna wanna get those, right? So how do you get those if you don't have them? One way that you can achieve this is by creating relationships with designers, with realtors, and offering to stage their properties with art so that they look better, you know? That way, somebody who's in the market for real estate, they go by and they check out 5 houses. Well, that one house that has like some really amazing artwork, it has the potential to create an emotional response in that client, and they associate that with real estate. So that it really can help sell properties. And in the meantime, you've got a lot more traffic coming in through the real estate, okay? From other prospects, people in the housing market that are looking to either buy or sell homes. They might not be shopping for art, but hey, they go through this property and they see this big, beautiful piece of art, and now they're gonna be calling you, you know? So it's a great way to get business from super qualified leads. Finding qualified leads is a really important thing, you know? And I would say the new home buyer is one of the most qualified leads that you can stumble upon in the art world. Another benefit though, kind of coming back to my point with photos, if you don't have great installation photos of your art, creating relationships with realtors and offering to stage their properties for free will allow you to get really great photos of your art in high-end luxury real estate. You want photos of your artwork in these beautiful high-end locations. It's gonna make your product more desirable and look more luxurious. It's an important step. If you don't have those really good installation photos, start seeking out real estate agents. Timing is everything here. So when a new home buyer, it doesn't matter if it's their first time buying a home or their 15th time buying a home, you know, getting them right at closing is gonna be key. Again, they're gonna have a budget allocated for decor. Maybe not that same day of closing, but like leading into the next few weeks, possibly few months down the road. A lot of clients and prospects tend to commit to artwork as the very last part of a project, and that's fine and dandy. I like to go ahead and plant my seeds way before that. It gives me time to close the deal leading up past the closing. Anyway, so again, referral programs, they're a must. You need to start developing referral programs. Just put together a little presentation, a little document just stating how much the referral fee is. I have separate programs for realtors and designers. Basically, realtors, title agents, and loan officers all have a very similar basic referral program. And then my interior designers, I have a different referral program for. Now, when I was starting out and didn't really have a lot of art sales, referral programs for interior designers is how I actually got some momentum build up. Today, I offer about 10% referral fees or trade pricing, whichever way the designer likes to do business, whether they like to get paid on the front end or the back end of the deal. That's why I offer trade pricing as well as the referral fee. You know, some designers like to get paid on both sides, so be flexible because everybody's making money. It's not hurting you, it's not hurting them, and it's definitely not hurting the client either. So it's a win all the way around. But yeah, having a firm contract on your referral fees, like today, for instance, I do 10% round the board pretty much. But back in the day when I was just getting started, my referral fees that I would give out were sometimes as high as 50%. Now that's a lot of money. That's half of your money, right? But that really allowed me to incentivize designers enough to push my product when I didn't have a name. Nobody knew who I was. And it's worth paying 50% to get your start, especially if they're incentivized to push your prices higher, which the designers that did this for me definitely had every reason to push the prices higher because they're making half of the money, right? Depending on where you are in your career, you might want to play around with the percentage of your referral fees. But it all starts with relationships. Creating relationships with anybody associated with this industry is gonna be a must, and it is extremely lucrative. I've had a lot more success with designers versus galleries, design firms versus galleries. It's just, it's a night and day difference for me. And I think the big reason for that is you take one design firm and they might have anywhere between just one interior designer. Some design firms that I've worked with in the past have had up to 20 designers working for them at the same time. Now, each of those designers has 1 to maybe 5 projects going on. Think about how many blank walls that is for each firm. That's a lot of blank walls, and they're going to be putting artwork on those walls or mirrors or whatever. So it might as well be yours. All you gotta do is figure out how to make the introduction and create these relationships, because there is a pot of gold on the other side of this thing. Like, you've gotta put in that work and the effort though. And when you walk into a design firm, don't just go in there and start talking about yourself. That's not the way to do this. Don't try to shove it down their throat. Just get them talking about themselves. Show genuine interest in them and their design, and just get them talking about themselves, get them very comfortable. Everybody likes talking about themselves, by the way. So let them divulge the things that they're doing and projects that they're interested in. So when you're introducing yourself at a design firm, don't just go in and start talking about yourself. That's not the way to do this. It just comes off as like very salesman. You know, people are not gonna give you the time of day if you just go in and start talking about your services and your art and all that. So what I like to do is I like to go in and show and express genuine interest in the designers and their projects and get them talking about themselves. When you take this approach, it's gonna allow them to tell you like what about their work they actually like and what they enjoy about their career, as well as might divulge some information about projects that they have going on and stuff like this. Eventually, the question will come up, hey, what do you do? And then at that point, you can explain what you're doing and why you're there. I always like to bring artwork with me just in case somebody wants to see it in person. That's just my method. It might work for you too. Give it a shot. Even if they tell you no, that's fine. Just do it again at the next stop. There's so many interior designers, especially where I am here in Northwest Florida. It's a great way to make money as an artist. So I hope this helps somebody out there. I've got a couple more things I want to talk to you about today. And really the fastest way to close a deal, okay? This is what has worked for me for years and years. When somebody shows interest in your artwork, you know, they're gonna have questions for you. They're gonna say, you know, how much is it? What size is this? Do you think it'll fit over this area? Basically, once they've shown interest, it's your job to answer as many questions and get through the unknowns as quickly and efficiently as possible. And there's one method that helps me cut right to the chase, and it's just taking the art to them, okay? Like the first step might be, hey, come by my studio or gallery and see the work in person and pick out a few things that you like, but get to their house as soon as you can, because once the artwork is in their house and you're able to hold it up and see it on the wall, it's going to cut right through all the questions. Questions might be, is it the right size? Is it the right colors? Are the colors gonna match with the rest of my decor in my house? Will it look good with the rest of the decor? Is it going to compete with any of my other art or any of my other items in the house? Is the lighting gonna work? You know, does it need to be lit up? Blah, 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 blah. So when you take the artwork to them and put it on the wall, guess what happens? All these questions, they get answered just like that. Done. Okay, and at that point, they're gonna know if it's right for them or it's not. Once you put it on the wall, if they are in love with it and it answers all these questions in the right way, at this point, you're the one with all the power because they now have an emotional connection to what they've seen. They can't unsee what they've seen, right? So at this point, you have a lot of power in this situation to get your full ask price. One thing that I've noticed is they do not want to see the artwork leave their house once they've seen it on the wall. So at this point, it's time to close the deal. That's just where it is. So emotional connection and emotional response, that is the thing that sells anything. That is the ticket to sales, especially with art, okay? So your whole goal here is to evoke emotion in that prospect. But again, like, just get in their house, figure out a way to set an appointment to bring the art to them. Make it as convenient as possible, as painless as possible. I'm really big on customer service and customer experience. This is just part of that. I don't charge for this service. I don't charge for consultations. I just make it as seamless and easy as possible for the client. On the flip side of this, if you get to their house and you put the artwork up on the wall and it's not right for whatever reason, at this point, you have opportunities to try other things. So when I have an appointment to go to a client's house, I always bring a couple extra pieces. Maybe it's an extra option or two for that specific wall that they're in the market for. Or I'll bring a couple smaller pieces for other walls in their house because this is another opportunity to upsell additional items. If you're striking out for whatever reason, my go-to is to upsell them on a custom piece. I love creating custom work or commission pieces. Really, the two parameters that I can customize are the dimensions and size of the canvas, as well as the color schemes. And I can match up color schemes to their decor perfectly. So this goes a long way with most clients. So at this point, I've got all my bases covered. If the client does A, I do B. If the client does B, I do C. You know, I already have all my bases covered and I know what I'm gonna do no matter what the response is. So being prepared is the key here. All right, so if you got value from today's video, like, and if you have any topics you want me to cover in future videos, comment down below. If you think any aspiring artists might gain some value from this type of content, share it with them. Please help me get this message out. And yeah, thanks for viewing. Tune in next time.